What's going on, Star Wars fans?
Hello there.
Welcome to another week of Star Wars Jedi Chat. We are here with Derek. Hello, Derek.
I'm back, everybody.
He's
Better
back.
than ever.
He's back.
We are here with Mike. How are you,
Hello there.
sir?
I'm doing good.
And we are, once again, sadly, without Ron. He is living it up in Italy. If you follow us on our social media platforms, you'll see he's having a great time, and he'll hopefully be back with us next week. I know
It must be nice.
Yeah. Well, I know this is like kind of a crazy 3 weeks for him to be out of town because we have some pretty interesting Star Wars news leaks and whatnot. So he's going to be pretty excited to get back and kind of give his 2 cents on everything, since we've gone weeks talking about it, speculating on it without him, and it just feels unnatural, right? So welcome everybody in the chat. Thanks for joining us. So far we've got B-Man's here, we got Darth Plagueis Lives, we got Austin Fuller, who you all have seen the last 2 weeks, we got Jedi Jarvo, we got oh, that's Derek in there.
That is me.
Yep.
Haha. Hello, I'm here supporting us.
We got a lot of fun to talk about, kind of similar to what we've been talking about, because it just feels like it will never end. The more we get, the more little breadcrumbs we get, we will not stop, and that's a guarantee. So I know
it's time to be a Star Wars fan.
It's a great time to be a Star Wars fan. So I know last week we got kind of accidentally down the Ahsoka season 2 rabbit hole to start. Now we have quite a bit of things that, since I think like while we were speaking, have come around in the last week. And I know Mike has touched on it on his show, a guy who loves Star Wars on YouTube. So Mike, what are you hearing when you put your ear to the ground?
I hear a lot of things, but last week you're absolutely right. It sort of just started. Like the leaks for Ahsoka season 2 were just coming up last Wednesday night, and then through Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and even into Saturday, we just got more and more and more leaks for Ahsoka season 2. We got some what looked to be set photos of what could be Dathomir and stuff with like bricks and roots growing all over them, and it looks like it has more of a red tint to it. Like, we got some pretty cool stuff, but the leaked scenes themselves are what has me the most excited. We got one from Peridia, and we got one from our regular galaxy. And if either of them are anywhere close to true, because we have to take all this stuff with a giant grain of salt because rumors can be wrong all the time. But if they are anywhere close to being true, it's got me ridiculously excited. So I guess the question I have for you guys is, where do you want to start? Peridia or normal galaxy?
Peridia.
Let's get weird.
All right, let's start on Peridia. So let's get weird.
It's gonna get weird.
Yeah.
So I actually recently, and it's funny you bring that up, Dave Filoni at Star Wars Celebration was saying how with this new galaxy, he has the opportunity to just get weird, like do whatever he wants because it's a brand new galaxy. So this was the leak we started to talk about last week, and it's gotten even crazier over time. On Peridia, so with Ahsoka and Sabine, we learned this. Again, just a rumor for now, so take it with a giant grain of salt. We've been told that a sequence, not unlike Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings Fellowship of the Ring, has Ahsoka and Sabine on foot after their ship was forced to land due to a snowstorm. Baylan Skoll is attempting to stop their path. The next part is only from the source. They used a GIF of Dooku versus Yoda in Attack of the Clones, where Dooku is destroying the room and throwing the objects at Yoda as sort of a test, I guess, for the older Jedi Master. So Dooku throwing stuff at Yoda. While the rest of the source is pretty vague, it sounds like this journey on top of this snowy mountaintop with Baylan Skoll making them turn back, just like in the Fellowship of the Ring. And they turn them into make them go back to the mines of Moria. So Baylan Skoll could be turning them around to go to a different location. Now, this is what we talked about last week. And it gets even more crazy when you throw in the concept art that was at Star Wars Celebration of Ahsoka standing in front of this door and another one. Actually, I'm going to send these to Nick so we can talk about it. But before we even get to that, what do you guys think about this? You got Ahsoka and Sabine on foot in the snow on top of a mountain, and Balin Skull trying to stop them from going that direction. What do we think?
Nick, do you want to run with it first? And
I'll run. Yeah,
Go
I
for
mean,
it.
my take from last week remains the same. I think it opens up the possibilities of, whether or not that's on the way to wherever Balin's going, or if Balin got there first. Because I think, as we talked about last week, we were wondering, Balin Skull's really strong, but does Balin Skull have it like that, like where he can hurl parts of a mountain at him? What has transpired up to that point? Obviously, I think we're all really excited to see the action sequence that we're talking about, if it's true. But yeah, as Austin put it, we knew he had something going on, but I didn't know he had that dog in him.
Yeah.
So anyway, like, what transpires to that point? Because they've been able to cover ground, presumably, if their ship has gone down, ground to catch up to him. Is it there? Where is it? I don't know. But I think we got pretty clear evidence from our chat last week that we would love a little Lord of the Rings inspired Star Wars.
So
I mean, it's just beautiful.
Yeah, for sure. And not only that, so I went back and was watching just some highlights from Game of Thrones. And I'm like, I mean, they obviously, the casting, I think they did a great job with what they had to work with, but I think he's going to be a little bit more gruff because they're different. They are different actors. And the way that might portray on camera might be really, really fun. Especially like with these leaks, I'm kind of like, is he gonna be way more aggressive? No.
Honestly, with the recast, I think it's possible that they almost hide Balin from us for at least a little bit of the season. Like, they make it that he had a head start like he did at the end of season 1, so you don't really see him for a while. So maybe, like, he already got to this end goal at the top of the mountain before them, and maybe it causes him to look a little different. I don't know. But I agree with you. I think he's going to be a little bit more let loose in the second season with his power that Balin Skull has, because even though Ahsoka was distracted, she was still losing that fight to him in season 1 pretty badly.
All right, we got some stuff to look at here.
Okay.
So here we go.
This first image right here is a drawing from Dave Filoni that was released a long time ago, years ago, I believe, for season 2. It was one of the first things we got for season 2. And as you can see, it's Ahsoka and Sabine walking up a snowy mountaintop on some old-looking stairs. So this does, again, confirm that those leaks could be true about at least the two of them walking through the snow up a mountain. And this was in Dave's first ideas of this season, I guess. His first drawings, his first concept art for the second season. So still, whatever that glimmer of light was, that's where Ahsoka and Sabine are on their way to.
And then we have the door.
The door. So this was shown at Star Wars Celebration. And, I mean, the door makes you think World Between Worlds. There's snow around there again, so we're talking about the top of a mountain.
I'm gonna
thoughts.
I'm gonna flip between two photos here.
Yes.
Just
so the next one
for imagery. This is actually not what you just sent me, but similar imagery of the circles.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I actually don't think this is an entrance to the World Between Worlds here.
I don't either.
I don't either, but I feel like the imagery of all of World Between Worlds, the Mortis, all that kind of stuff. Even in the branding of Ahsoka with all the circles and geometric patterns and whatnot. Here's the last one, you guys.
And this one, this is my favorite one of all three because it sort of tells the entire picture. And these are two different images, as you can see the Japanese subtitles there from Star Wars Celebration. So one was just the top right and one was just the bottom, and somebody sort of morphed the two together, which is really cool. But if you go back to the door, it looks like this is the same door. So you see the door there, you see the side of the door, and Ahsoka standing in front of it by herself. Then you go back, she's ignited her lightsaber, and there's this gigantic hand, a droid like we've never seen before in Star Wars, this massive, whatever this thing is, behind the door. So could it be a prison guard? Could it be some crazy droid thing?
It looks like a droid.
Yeah, it looks like a droid.
Now, Max Rebo brought up a good point. Is the ramp in the previous picture
this one or
no, the other one? That one.
That one.
I didn't even really pay
shuttle?
attention to it. I was paying attention to the door too much. Is that so? Like, if they're walking up the mountain, but then is that a ship? Is that like what is that?
So that actually brings me to the leak where it explains that it's a sequence not unlike the Lord of the Rings. I think that they do park the shuttle here, but their journey is
not over.
Yeah, they got to still go a ways. Like maybe they can't get through this door, so they have to try a different way, and that's when Balin tries to turn them around. It's like in the Lord of the Rings, if you guys have seen it in the chat, Saruman is very far away, and he is he's using his power to sort of block their path up the mountain so that they have to turn around and go through the mines of Moria because he knows that, well, there's a bull rock in there and they're probably going to die if they go through it. So, and spoiler alert, Gandalf does. But it's like a 25-year-old movie. Yeah. No. But yeah, so I think that maybe what this leak is talking about is Sabine and Ahsoka trying to find almost another way around, and Balin making them go back to that door, forcing them to open the door. Because I don't think Balin by himself is like powerful enough to open that door.
Right.
Now, I'm glad you said that, because that was my next theory, is that we know that there's 3 people.
Yep.
And we know, like, if you look around the 3, I could see this happening where they get up there and Balin needs to get in there. Ahsoka and Sabine want to get in there, and they do a greater good where they have to work together, but then there's a conflict where Sabine can't do it. And that's a little bit of the conflict. And then I could see Balin getting really upset with Sabine because she can't do it, and he's trying to like forcibly coach her through it. So could the 3 of them have to work together to get this door open or to get access to something? That would be pretty dope. Like, I could see that later in the season too.
I could see also, I could see also, them expanding on Shin a little bit and wherever she plays into this.
Yeah.
If Balin's way ahead of them, she could be meeting up with them, kind of pissed about Balin leaving her behind. And, they kind of have to do it together. Because I feel like every time that I start going off about Ahsoka and everybody, I forget about her completely. But she's still very much there and has allies now. She's the only one there that has allies.
I would never forget about Shin Hati.
It's not that I forget about her, but she's not in any of the leaks or anything like that. Like, she's never mentioned. Like, whatever her role is in season 2, it's kept quite a well-kept secret.
Yeah.
But going back to the door, I actually like what Derek said. Maybe it does take 3 people to open it, because maybe the Mortis gods, those 3 were the ones who closed it, and there must have to be something to do with. We're talking about the most powerful beings in the world, gods. They're dead now, but they were gods, and they possibly created this prison. So it must be hard to get into. It could lean into Ahsoka being the daughter, having Morai, because we didn't see Morai in season 1 until they got to Peridia. So Morai being there could be some part of it too. I don't know.
It could be a matter of, the only 2 people that we know of that are alive in this show are Ahsoka and Ezra, that have been to the World Between Worlds or been to a Mortis-y type of thing. So maybe Ahsoka's the only person who can really make sense of it.
Now, like, let's say my theory's close to right or something, and those 3 have to work together. What if Shin shows up and is absolutely pissed off that Balin like abandoned her? She's not a part of this, and something happens where she becomes Abeloth, like something embodies her from the.
I think just Shin's look of the white hair and the creepy look and the no blinking, like all of that just leads me to believe that they're setting her up to be embodied by Abeloth. Just when you see drawings of Abeloth from Legends, it does look like Shin quite a bit. And coincidence that they brought in a brand new character that kind of looks like Abeloth? I don't think so. But actually, Max Rebo brings up a good point too. could we be looking at here, because and if you bring up the image again of the giant droid, if Ahsoka and them successfully open this door and let out whatever's inside there, whether that's a guard or whatever, and this is Abeloth, could it be Ahsoka accidentally letting her out? Like, is that?
Yeah. I think if we get Abeloth, that's kind of what we're looking at anyway. Whether it's Balin or Ahsoka going there and letting her out, I could see this guy being the Plo Koon of this concept art series. You know how they made Luke into Plo Koon for the concept art.
Yeah,
that might be, I don't know, but I think you're right. Like, there's going to be some kind of massive consequence for opening this door, or whatever it is, whatever they're going to find on Peridia. There's going to be a massive consequence for whatever it is Balin's trying to do, or whatever it is Ahsoka's trying to do to stop him.
Or they open it, and it opens slowly, and out of the mist comes Cal Kestis.
Oh man!
Oh, wow, you had that ready to go. That was not planned.
I knew that'd come in useful.
I haven't been here for like 2 weeks.
I know.
So
the Cal Kestis it's been dry. We haven't talked about him at all.
No, it's been stirring inside me.
16 minutes is a good run, Derek.
Yeah, that's true. Record.
Not bad. Not too bad.
Yeah, but as we all know, Cal Kestis died on Alderaan. No, but seriously though, do you think Ahsoka lets her out by accident? Like, is that a possibility? Like, Ahsoka's supposed to be this, I guess we're led to believe she's this all-wise character now because she's older and she crosses her arms and doesn't say much. But do you think she would be not dumb, but for lack of a better word, dumb enough to open the door and let her out?
Or if it was the only way that they could beat Thrawn,
and
they don't know what's behind it, but they think like, this is our only shot. We're so far behind already. He's back.
Interesting.
I think the only way Abeloth reasonably comes out is if something accidentally, or they set something off, right? Like, perhaps the initial confrontation that we're all worried about is Balin and Ahsoka or whatever. And what ends up occurring is that this really weird, Star Wars season that we're hoping for kind of ramps up, and now we accidentally woke up in Abeloth, or, because I don't see it the same way you'd see Thrawn. Like, Thrawn's working his way back. He's coming, or back in the expanded universe, like the Vong are coming. Yuzan Vong are coming to wreak havoc. I don't think Abeloth's been working her way back. I think they awaken it if she's there, or it isn't an accident, but it's a consequence of what they're trying to do.
Yeah, Austin said he thinks Sabine does it and is manipulated. I'm going to say, I'm still sticking with Shin is going to be the catalyst as to why we get, if we get that.
What do we think about this one?
Anakin is Abeloth. Yeah, so I kind of thought of this a couple days ago, and I brought it to my chat, and as I was saying it, I thought it sounded stupid. But the idea sort of is that Anakin's Force Ghost hasn't appeared to Luke since Endor, hasn't appeared to Ahsoka until, I guess, ever, because he appears to Ahsoka when he pulls her through the world between worlds. So Anakin's Force Ghost since Endor, since that last scene of Return of the Jedi, has never been seen. So where is he? And the question is, well, maybe that Force Ghost that we see at the end of Ahsoka Season 1 isn't Anakin at all, and it's Abeloth sort of playing mind games on Ahsoka. Or later down the line in the season, a similar thing happens where Ahsoka is seeing Anakin, and she maybe thinks she's back in the world between worlds or something. Maybe she thinks it's a dream, but it's real, and it's Abeloth almost in her own head, making her see Anakin. I don't know. I definitely think that Abeloth has the ability to get in people's heads. That's why Balin is on his way to come free her. But can she physically make you hallucinate things? I don't know. We'll see.
I think it would be a perfect cast to have Balin see Shin up there, and then she kind of slowly morphs into, what Abeloth is supposed to look like. But what do you guys think about Sabine? We now have Max Rebo and Austin saying Sabine's going to do it.
the thing with Sabine in season 1 was she got a lot of crap for being able to use the Force. And I thought this was a ridiculous argument because I think it was a lot of people who just hadn't seen Rebels. She trains with the Darksaber for a long ass time with a Jedi Knight, Kanan Jarrus, at the time. So she's had a lot of training with a lightsaber and the Force itself, learning about the Force and how to wield the Force. And off screen, we get a ton of information about how Ahsoka, after the events of Rebels, trained Sabine for a while until she stopped. And then on screen in Ahsoka season 1, we get a whole training sequence of Ahsoka and Sabine. So I think a lot of characters in Star Wars have gone through a lot less to be able to wield the Force, and Sabine has gone through her over a decade of training, and for some reason that's not enough. But I think she could be the one who would be manipulated because of her Mandalorian-ness. That makes sense.
Now, is Jason going to play a role in any of this? Like, I don't see him on Peridia, but could he play a role in something that has to do with this? I mean, he's going to be in the show.
He's definitely going to be in the show. In season 1, he is the one who can hear Ahsoka versus Anakin in the World Between Worlds. Like, he hears it in the waves, which is so cool. He's obviously going to be Force sensitive, but I don't know how big of a role he'll play. I'd love to see him train under Ezra. That'd be great.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
It'd be pretty awesome.
I'll just throw this out there. I might have came off as one of those people who was opposed to Sabine using the Force, but I need to clarify my position.
Let's hear it.
I wasn't opposed to her using the Force. I was opposed to feeling like she would have been a failure if she didn't, because I feel that Sabine was already a very unique, very much of a badass character, already has kind of herself figured out in a way. Because of all the things you said, she's an incredibly impressive character already. And what I opposed at the time was that her arc in season 1 felt like she finally was like okay with herself once she figured out how to Force push, Ezra. And I feel that I feel like that overshadowed the real, sureness of herself or resolve that she felt, that then gave her that, like, that's cool. I feel that she has so much to her already that we don't need to feel like she would have been a failure if she didn't. I think it would have been just as powerful if she didn't. I just didn't like the way that it was like, oh, Sabine finally got it, and that's what we've been waiting for. I was like, well, she kind of like grew as a character regardless.
True.
So I just felt that it had the potential to overshadow what was already a powerful character,
What I like about Sabine the most is in Rebels, she's a Mandalorian through and through. And the Mandalorian way is so, because they've been at constant wars throughout history with the Jedi, so the opposite of the Jedi way, that she has to almost overcome that obstacle of being a Mandalorian to be able to wield the Force. And that's what you see in Ahsoka season 1. But I agree with you. I think being able to wield the Force is definitely not the entirety of Sabine's character, because there's so much more to her, especially in Rebels. But yeah, I get that take. For sure.
So yeah,
going back to the prison itself here, what's really cool about this weird gigantic droid thing is that it's weird. It's that Dave can do whatever he wants in this Peridia galaxy, and the question is, what do 3 gods do to create a prison? Because they're not there. Even when we see them in Clone Wars, they're not on Peridia, so they have the utmost trust in their ability to craft this prison to keep Abeloth, this insanely horrible threat, in that prison, because they trust the whatever guard they put in place to keep her there. So what does that look like? What does a prison with that 3 gods made look like? And that'll be really cool to see. And I guess this is our sneak peek at it. I may be wrong, but there's another piece of concept art that we saw at Star Wars Celebration, and I'll try and find it, but It's that same droid, but he's flying. And he's flying at Sabine. Let me see if I can try and find that actually. So you guys keep talking. I'm gonna try and find it.
I'm still on my conspiracy that this is a Plo Koon concept art situation.
It's a little too crazy though. Like Plo Koon was
Yeah.
like, okay, Plo Koon, we know that character. We don't know giant celestial looking droids.
We also watch Plo Koon die, and all of a sudden he's in the concept art.
True.
But
That's
I mean,
because
there was some giant like droid like things in the Jedi games with Cal Kestis.
Mm-hmm.
Not that giant.
Well, I mean,
well, you actually bring up a great point. The Zepho connection in the Jedi games,
yeah,
because there was the mention of a Zepho Sage or the Zepho Force user in season 1 of Ahsoka. So, will there be that Zepho crossover or Cal Kestis crossover with Dathomir and all these mentions of different weird things?
Mm-hmm.
It's possible.
I don't know. Like, I guess we're assuming that the door and this door, we're assuming it leads to Abeloth in this take, like in figuring out like how do they build a prison.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure like what it would be if it's not her. You know, what kind of power is Balin looking for, if he even knows? Maybe he just knows there's something. This leads me to believe, just from what we know in Legends about Abeloth, I don't think a big ass droid would do anything. You know,
Yeah,
so
no.
like, I don't know. Maybe it like stops people from even attempting to awake her, but he may be I don't know what he'd be defending, or it would be defending.
Well, and maybe that's a thing. Maybe it's a defense thing that somebody put in place to not let her out.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is.
So it kind of depends on, obviously, if that's Abeloth in there or some kind of, you know, weird, you know, whatever it is that the Mortis gods were on that Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka fly up to, like whatever that little prism thing is.
You guys are going to want to check this one out.
All right.
So this is actually better than I even remember it being. This was another piece of concept art. So what we were just looking at with the giant droid and Ahsoka at that door is concept art from Star Wars Celebration this year for Ahsoka Season 2, just a few days before they started filming for Season 2. So I just sent you another one. This one is crazy. This is what looks to be the same droid that behind that door, flying now. They fly now. And
they fly now.
Yep.
But, even though they have been forever.
Yes. And Sabine is like, has a blaster out or something. So if you could pull that up on the screen.
Yep. I'm going.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Right?
All right.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Check this out.
Second.
Check this out.
1 second. 1 second.
So this might change everything. If this thing is coming out flying, well, this assumes that this is a secondary one because it doesn't really look exact same as the first one. At least its hands don't, I would assume.
All right.
But it's like Dave Filoni is just doing whatever he wants because he can in a different galaxy. Yes, they fly now.
Uh-oh. Having problems?
Yep. Files too long. Nope, there it is.
Oh.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Look at that thing. And it's got wings.
It's got wings. What is that? So that's Sabine, clearly. What is up with Sabine's hand? Did she lose her hand? What is that?
Oh, that's like a gun.
Oh, no, in her left hand?
That doesn't look like a hand. I feel like her hands are up like, oh, you can't see me, but like are holding a blaster, and that's just something off of her back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's not an arm.
Wait, do it again, Derek.
Like doing like that.
Yeah. I get you.
It's like hanging off of her thing.
Yeah.
All right. I get that.
Oh, that's not.
It'd be crazy if Sabine lost her hand, though. I mean, nobody's lost a limb in a while and stuff.
I mean, she already got, poked.
In this image, is she just taking one from Hu Yang, or what? Taking a hand from him?
I guess.
But I always do love, like, I guess the only guy who made it really work was on my shirt. but I love the like pistol shot at an impossible target.
Yeah.
You know, Jango Fett lands the most perfectest shot ever on that big rhinoceros, but like,
Yeah.
what's that going to do to this thing?
What's that gonna do?
Yeah, because and that's the thing is like I don't think it's celestial because you can see all of like the joints and things that would
Yeah.
be droid like. And you know, you could be wrong. But maybe it's
No,
like a Grievous type thing.
So
It definitely looks droid-like.
one thing that I feel might serve my conspiracy theory is if I wish you could put a cursor on here and show people what I'm pointing at.
Yeah.
But if we see those wings, right? And obviously it's just concept art. The droid head and joints, you know, indicate it's that same droid from the other picture. But then in this picture we got claws,
Yeah,
you
I
know,
don't think it's the same droid.
right. And I don't know.
I don't
I
know,
feel
the
like
eyes though.
Yeah,
this feeds my point that, you know, maybe the actual thing that ends up on screen is more Abeloth-ish, and this is like the Plo Koon head on this thing. Those wings look very right up our alley.
I mean, maybe, yeah, but I think it's like you have a million battle droids that all look the exact same. I think it's just an army of, or maybe not an army, but a handful of gigantic droids that all serve a different purpose. Maybe one's like a stationary dude, one's a they fly now guy, and one maybe has a giant blaster for all we
They
know.
fly now guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I think they are different. Even though they have the same eyes, they definitely don't have the same hands unless his hands are morphing into that, which would be crazy. Transformer. But I think they're probably two different ones, and where there's two, there's probably a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when we look at our surroundings, when we go the Ahsoka one, if you go back, the Ahsoka one is clearly outside of this door, or as she's going into the door. But this one with Sabine, it's like foggy and in the middle of nowhere. Like we don't really know. Is this inside the mountain? Maybe.
Right. Or he just gets out of the door here and starts going crazy on him, or however.
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah, not a whole lot of other evidence of stuff there. Just fog and
Yeah, just fog. Yeah.
yeah. But here, this looks like, you know, how they've been doing concept, like final concept art, where it's more of like a rendering that looks pretty real. And this looks like kind of the classic.
You know, and it's funny if you can go to the cameras again. So
Sorry.
looking at that picture, I'm like, this sitting next to me with like, I still had this sitting next to me, and I'm like, that's
very similar.
Very similar.
Looks pretty good.
It's like poetry. Yeah.
Thank you, Matt Lanter, for that. I appreciate it.
Yeah. It's just very cool when a leak like this that we talked about last week of this whole Sabine and Ahsoka stuff with Bale and Skull, like Lord of the Rings-esque, throwing stuff at them. It's really cool when that can be backed by stuff we already know, like Dave Filoni's drawings and this concept art of these ridiculously gigantic droids that we've never seen before in Star Wars. It just adds more validity to the rumor, but also it just gets you so excited for what is going to be behind that door. What's behind door number 1?
More Peridia. So I feel like we could go all day on Peridia, but let's jump to our known Star Wars galaxy.
Okay. So
all right.
At first I thought, the Peridia one, it's awesome. It's got me more excited, but this one honestly has got me around the same hype level. So this one comes with actual set photos, or what look to be set photos. It's very zoomed in of just rock and roots, supposedly images of Dathomir on set, but it comes with this. There's a sequence that we are told has Ezra, Hera, and Chopper exploring dangerous caverns underneath the surface of Dathomir. And Ezra, as pictured here, Dathomir. Ezra encounters something that is not on set, so either CGI or added in later, and there is some sort of fight sequence. Now it says, it goes on to say whatever. So what really got me first with this was Ezra, Hera, and Chopper on Dathomir. Like in season 2, we are going into the belly of the beast, Thrawn's sort of home base, Dathomir, but also the CGI or added in later character or monster that Ezra is fighting under the surface of Dathomir. What could that be? So, first of all, let's talk about just them being on Dathomir in the first place. Did you guys think we'd go this quickly into that? Like, they're already there on Dathomir.
Thrawn needs an army.
Yes. True.
And maybe his army needs the power there to keep them going. I wouldn't say alive because they're not.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I don't know if Thrawn's going to be ready by the time of Ahsoka season 2. Like, I think this is the New Republic still doesn't believe that Thrawn is back because he hasn't done anything yet. So I think this is Ezra, Hera, and Chopper going off on their own special mission against the orders of the New Republic to go investigate by themselves before Thrawn is able to really do anything. I think the Night Sisters are still probably being brought back to life at this point, and they haven't been able to conjure up that army that you're talking about. So I think this is like a recon mission type thing. Like, this isn't the end game, right?
I think like season 1, we kind of got the first maybe like on-screen planting the seeds of why the resistance ends up existing, because Leia's still very much a big part of the New Republic, and allows for Hera to go do her thing until they don't. Like, I don't know where we stand, politically or in her, memos that she's been getting, but I think Hera's might have lost her job, at this point for them, right? And so Leia's like, you know what? Anyway, she's like, you know what? You got to do what you got to do. So does Teva. So like all these people that would eventually branch off into what we appreciate, which would be the resistance or like what should be happening. That's already kind of been planted in season 1. So I feel like Thrawn's first real fight is going to be against a small group of people, which is like kind of our heroes. And then maybe he takes over a planet or two. But I think it also depends on how much time is passing between season 1 and season 2.
That's a big thing too.
It's kind of a big one. And how much time is Skeleton Crew, Mando and Grogu? What else do we have? That's pretty much it.
That's it.
How much time does that allot for him to be, connecting with Shadow Council if he chooses to? Or, does he have to show his strength to them first to finally get the resources he needs? In which case, Derek, you're right. He needs all them bodies to come back. So, because I also don't believe, we said this a few weeks ago, that I don't believe the Shadow Council seems to be very like team player right now. I think everybody's kind of working on their own project. And they're like, oh yeah, well, if Thrawn were here, we'd follow him. They don't think he's coming. So like, now he's here. I think he's going to have to prove it a little bit, but.
No, I definitely agree with that. And actually, as you were talking, and I was sort of thinking about how season 1 ended with Thrawn getting to Dathomir, Ezra steals Balin's shuttle off of Thrawn's ship. That's how he gets back to the New Republic. So he would come out of hyperspace outside of Dathomir and leave. First of all, Thrawn would have let him leave, or maybe not let him leave, but maybe he escaped and Thrawn would at least know that he escaped. And second of all, that means Ezra knows where they were. He knows that they're on Dathomir, so he would be the link back. So by the time he comes back, he'll be like, guys, Thrawn's back. He's on Dathomir. And the New Republic will be like, nah. And then Hera will be like, all right, let's do it ourselves, or go get proof or something like that to bring back to the New Republic so that we can have an army of our own. And that's what this, I think, spoilers probably talking about, is their mission to go get proof or figure it out why he's on Dathomir.
I could also see, you definitely see it at the end of season 2 when Ezra shows up and sees Hera, they're all thinking it's Balin because they see the
Yes.
shuttle, you
Yeah.
know. Right? He doesn't just take a TIE fighter, he takes Balin. You're right.
He takes Balin's shuttle, yeah.
Who just single-handedly took over an entire cruiser and
Yeah.
killed everybody on board. Do you think that, you know, the sort of bureaucratic side of the New Republic that we hate, that's kind of stifling the heroes, is going to be like, wait a minute, who's to say that's not the lightsaber wielding guy, except they have footage of Balin.
Yeah.
But like, who's to say he's to trust? And Hera's like, we got to get out of here. Because I actually agree with Max Rebo here. I think Hera's done with them. You know,
I don't know if she quits because Leia's still there. And I think her like backing is Leia, because Leia in season 1 is the one who was like told her to go investigate without the, I guess, permission of the New Republic. So I think as long as Leia and Mon Mothma too, who's kind of backing her, as long as those two are there, I don't think she'll like fully quit, but I don't think she'll listen to them.
Right.
Like she'll still be doing her own thing.
Yeah, well, and you know, there's other like spies that like they've sent out, especially like, you know, the one I think of is Vi Marati. That's you know, in my favorite book that I talk about all the time, because Leia sent Vi to Batuu, and you know, again, if we're looking at the map, like I don't think Vi's going to be coming to rescue anyone, but they've got a base there. They've got a rebel base that they're setting up there, and so like. There's more proximity, but I think you guys are right. Like, I don't think the New Republic is going to be a thing of like, oh yeah, we're going to go to Dathomir. They're probably like, well, why do we go there? That's way out there. We don't need that. But I could see like a separate rebellion coming up.
Actually, Nick brought up a great point too about Skeleton Crew having taken place in between season 1 and season 2, because at the end of Skeleton Crew, the New Republic shows up, and the New Republic shows up on At-Aten, which is, as we know, right next to Dathomir. So you assume that the New Republic has a base, as Derek said, a bunch of bases across the galaxy. They have a base on At-Aten now. So if Hera was like, oh, I'm just going to go check out At-Aten, and then just takes the ghost and goes to Dathomir from there because it's close, that could work. So I think you're absolutely right. I think there's New Republic bases all around, but they're not that powerful, like the Adelphi base in The Mandalorian, or a base on At-Aten, or a base on Batuu.
They're more like outposts. Like,
yeah,
that's exactly what it is. I mean, that's why it's called Black Spire Outpost.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's why when Thrawn comes to At-Aten to get all these credits, which we assume will happen, he's not going to be met with much force because it's just an outpost. Yeah.
Which I'll be at the outpost in February again. Woohoo!
Yeah. Well, that would be really cool too, because it would connect to the Skeleton Crew. Right now, nothing connects to Skeleton Crew, and if Ahsoka season 2 does, because of At-Aten's proximity to Dathomir and the fact that there's a New Republic base there, that would really intertwine all these projects, especially when the next one after Ahsoka season 2 is Dave's culmination movie of bringing all these things together. So, yeah,
and I think we might get some, I don't know, like some train tracks or a path to the sequence of things through the Mandalorian and Grogu, with whatever they're kind of tasked with. So Mike, you've made the point many times that everything in this Mandoverse, Ahsokaverse has been sequential, and you know, when Thrawn got back to Dathomir, At-Aten didn't exist in our minds. So we're like, he's going to get to Dathomir. We had an idea. Now At-Aten exists. We went, interesting. Then they conveniently placed it right next to Dathomir on the map. So like each little thing kind of sequentially sets up the real options. And I'm still a little bit in the camp that we get a little bit of the situation from Ahsoka season 2 in Mandalorian and Grogu. Or at least those of us who have it in mind are going to be able to see while it's happening on screen how this is going to affect Ahsoka season 2.
Yeah.
I don't know, but
no, I absolutely agree. I mean, the events of Skeleton Crew and the Mandalorian and Grogu have to affect it. And when we see Mando season 1, 2, and 3, they don't really, other than bringing Ahsoka into live action, they don't really affect Ahsoka season 1, because they're telling two very different stories. but they still exist in the same time. There's still some crossover of characters like Carson Teva and Ahsoka, but they still affect each other in tiny ways, but not in big drastic ways. And that's what I kind of think will happen with The Mandalorian and Grogu and Ahsoka season 2. A little bit more because of Zeb and other characters being intertwined there. But I don't think specifically like Thrawn will show up in The Mandalorian and Grogu. I think his presence will be felt. I think we'll see some Shadow Council members. We know we will see some Shadow Council members, but I don't think it will have anything to do with the plot of Ahsoka season 2, except for Zeb being there. Yeah.
I think in some ways similar to how Mando season 3 and Ahsoka season 1 set you up to the weaknesses of the New Republic big time. I think it'll be things like that. Like it'll kind of set by the time we see Hera telling them, here's what's going on, we've already experienced ineptitude with the New Republic from Mando season 3. So I think it's stuff like that where the thing, whatever pulls Din Djarin and Grogu it back into the fight, pull me back in, where we have AT-ATs getting blown up and walking on a mountain, I think will inform kind of more additional stakes to what eventually will be capped off with Thrawn in Ahsoka season 2.
Yeah. So since we last met last Wednesday, there was another casting thing for Mando and Grogu, and it was another Shadow Council member. I forget his name, but one of the other Shadow Council members from season 3 will be in the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. So that's 2 now. 2 Shadow Council members in that movie, which is weird because 1 kind of makes sense if Din and Grogu are in that guy's area and he's sort of maybe the main villain of the movie. But 2 means that Din is sort of hopping around and taking out Shadow Council members probably. So he's gotten Moff Gideon. Now he's going to get this guy and this other guy. He might figure it out. Like that might be what the Mandalorian and Grogu movie's about. Because us as the audience, we know about the Shadow Council, but the New Republic and Din Djarin, they don't. So that might be what this movie's about, is them sort of figuring that out, or Din Djarin, I guess, figuring that out, and the New Republic being like, nah. But he figures it out, maybe kills a couple, knows that he killed Moff Gideon, and maybe he somehow gets the list of the other members, and he's like, who's this Pelion guy? And then we're like, oh, we know that. But yeah, I think that could be how it connects.
I think more importantly, it will inform us of what the Mandalorians are up to. Because we kind of factor them out because we don't see them in the sequels. We just assume New Republic's the one doing the fighting or the Resistance doing the fighting. But I think it'll inform us of like what kind of a situation the Mandalorians are in. There's a freaking mythosaur down there that we haven't talked about in a couple of years,
and he's going to be riding. He's going to be riding that thing.
Yeah. So
sure.
That could inform us on what we have, and I think we've kind of gotten the seeds planted about how the New Republic's not really going to do anything. So we have a little bit of birth of the Resistance. We know that every pirate in the world is going to find out that AT-AT actually exists and maybe hover around the area a little bit, even though the New Republic's there. We got the Mandalorians kicking better than they ever have. And we know, watching that movie, that Thrawn's around. He's there. He's there during Skeleton Crew, presumably, if we're talking time. He's next door. So I don't know. But
well, I honestly think my live stream yesterday went a little crazy because I was killing Din Djarin off. Long story. Long story. I have good reason for it, okay? But the idea, I guess, is that Thrawn's only opponent, because he's such a genius, is what he missed over the last 11 years. So who he knows is the New Republic. Who he's going to learn to know is Luke Skywalker, Han, Leia. So almost the explanation for why those big 3 and original trilogy characters aren't involved is because Thrawn would know about them the most. He would have all the information about those specific characters. Who he wouldn't know is that Boba Fett is now ruling over Tatooine, is that the Mandalorians are back and better than ever with Bo-Katan and Din Djarin. He wouldn't know these random people like Cobb Vanth, who's the mayor of Freetown on Tatooine. Like, he wouldn't know those people. So those people are the biggest threat to him. Or, for example, a group of kids on AT-AT. Those are the biggest threat to him because Luke, Leia, and Han not being there is likely because Thrawn would be able to defeat them, ironically, easier than the less powerful characters.
He's prepared.
He's prepared, exactly. And Thrawn with preparation is like Batman.
Yeah. I will throw out there that we've talked about this. I don't remember in what capacity, but I do feel that Thrawn would be pretty shaken by finding out that there's a Luke Skywalker. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like once he finds that out, I think he would be pretty. Like he got visibly uncomfortable when he found out that Ahsoka was Anakin Skywalker's apprentice, and now his kid's here, and he single-handedly turned things around according to urban legend.
Yeah.
What about Leia? How's he going to feel about Leia?
Yeah, and have we gotten to, where bloodline is in the timeline? Is it generally known knowledge yet that Leia is Anakin Skywalker's daughter? Because once we hit bloodline, we're not there yet because that's when the First Order announces itself. But once we hit bloodline, it becomes public knowledge that she's Vader's daughter.
Yeah. And you actually bring up a great point too, and it's sort of a connection to The Last Jedi, is Luke's how he puts it, I forget how he phrases it specifically, but he says, I was Luke Skywalker, a legend, and I couldn't live up to that, or whatever he says, something like that. That is sort of being shown to us right now in the Mandoverse. Like you said, when Thrawn figures this out, he learns that Luke walked out of a room where he went in with Vader and Palpatine. Mm-hmm. Thrawn knows who Vader and Palpatine are. He worked right alongside the two of them. So he knows how powerful those two characters are. So if Luke, even if it's not true, went in a room with those two and comes out the only one standing, that's going to be pretty terrifying to Thrawn. But also, you see at the end of Mando Season 2, Moff Gideon pooping his pants because he knows Luke Skywalker's coming in the room. Like, the legend of Luke has grown so much. He might not actually be that powerful because he doesn't actually kill Vader or Palpatine, but the legend of him has grown very, very strong throughout the at least remnant of the Empire, and that might be what he's talking about in The Last Jedi. But I agree with you. When Thrawn finds out about it, it's going to be this big moment because it's not like Ahsoka. A Padawan to Anakin's one thing. A son is something else.
Yeah,
a son that killed Vader and Palpatine too.
This is a point I was going to make too. Anything about Luke, Han, and Leia, maybe not Leia. He would have known of Leia as like a young, the Leia we get in Rebels.
Yeah.
But like he would never have been around to know anything about them. And
yeah, that's what he's going to be learning about.
Yeah, he'll find out like what's true and what isn't, maybe.
Well, he's a tactician, so like he's going to get as much info as he can get when he gets
everything.
Yeah. And that depends on, who works with him though. I can't imagine there's a whole lot of action in Dathomir or Wi-Fi around Dathomir. So if anyone in the Shadow Council, gives him the time of day, yeah.
Because Pelion was the one who wants him to come back.
Yeah.
But as you mentioned before too, the other Shadow Council members were like, yeah, we don't want him. We don't care about Thrawn. So he's going to have to unite those people.
Don't they literally say like, I don't see him at the meeting?
That's what Moff Gideon says. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't see him. What are you talking about? So I don't know. I think that's going to be part of this whole Thrawn thing, is figuring out this Shadow Council and where he can kind of consolidate the most power. Especially for getting an heir to the Empire, Dave Filoni project.
Yeah.
I think this is the way they set it up, and then he's just full on top dog in that project. But
yeah. Well, you got to think too, as we're talking about other things that go towards the sequels, Project Necromancer, the stuff with Hux's dad, Starkiller Base, all that is going to be information that Thrawn learns about as he comes back. Like he will be figuring that stuff out. So what he does with that information, if he thinks they're good projects, not good projects, like in the Thrawn novels, he's so against the Death Star. He's like, put all the money to my TIE Defender project. I don't care about Stardust or whatever. So I wonder what his reaction will be to making another Death Star, Starkiller Base.
And the difference, not to be all real world budgetary, but like at the time when Thrawn's in there, like they are being discreet because they are still putting on the facade that they're a functioning government. right? Like, and it has to be discreet. In the Tarkin novel, they have to put up appearances because they don't have any of the Star Destroyers built. They don't have enough TIE fighter, all that stuff. It's like and it has to be done a certain way because there's still the illusion that you have this great, formerly the Republic, now even better, new and improved. But now in this downtime, all of the resources and like human or alien suffering that they could possibly throw at it, they don't have to be putting up public appearances for it. So, i.e., Starkiller Base is an insane project, just goes on without a hitch. That they, by the time you get to Rise, are like, that was the stupidest thing we ever did. Literally say it in a meeting. So you got all these guys who are now decades into this investment who like are obsessed with it. I can't imagine they're just going to give it up to Thrawn or give him the keys.
True. I think in that Shadow Council meeting too, actually, they mentioned something like that, like the Pelion and Hux are the two who get the most money out of all this Shadow Council because they're working on the two biggest projects with bringing back Thrawn, with the Eye of Sion, and then with Starkiller Base. So, yeah, it's sort of a waste of money, which they find out later down the line. But I agree with you that clearly not all the Shadow Council members are going to be on board with Thrawn coming back, especially the ones who are working on Starkiller Base and Project Necromancer and all that. It's my question is sort of, how does Thrawn react to that, and what does he think of all of that? Like, what does he think of them trying to bring Palpatine back from the dead, or if he knows that he's already back from the dead?
Right. Well, and I think there's going to be a lot of conflict with Thrawn because, like you guys were saying, once he finds out about Luke, that's going to be a problem for him. But he also knew Padme, because Padme was on a mission and he met Padme and Anakin. So if he finds out that Leia is running, is like this general and doing all of this stuff, and he knows how Padme was, of like, he knows she's no slouch. It's like, oh my gosh, I've got the kids of these two I'm gonna have to deal with. Plus, like, I'm already having issues where I don't like what they're doing. Maybe he bugs out. Like, I don't think he'll just retreat, but you never know. Like, again, he's a tactician. How is it going to play in? Maybe he disappears again and he goes to get the chiss. You don't know, because he can see an opening of both sides are so weak right now. They're fighting. And then after the sequel movies, Thrawn comes back with the chiss. Bing bong.
It would be pretty crazy. But at that point, I don't know if do the chiss have the same life expectancy. At that point, he would be like 90, right?
I think if you put anything alien on someone, you can just make them as old as you want.
True.
Let's find out.
True. And while he finds it out, Max Rebo actually said something pretty interesting. I bet Snoke eventually kills Thrawn. I don't know if that will happen, but we will see a sort of handing off of the baton of power at some point, because, well, we know the First Order comes to power, and Snoke is very well known by everybody, and Luke and Leia specifically. So yeah, Snoke maybe won't kill Thrawn.
Ooh, 80 years old.
Yeah.
80.
That's
I mean,
a little nervous.
Dooku as a human is like pushing 90 when he's fighting Anakin in Revenge of the Sith.
It says on Wikipedia that they're vulnerable at 80. Like, so that means like 80 is old.
Okay. Yeah. Old. Plus the thing with Dooku is he was a Force user, and the Sith in the dark side can make you live a lot longer. Thrawn's not a Force user too.
I would throw out that like this is the time for new Snoke theories, because I feel like we kind of forget about him because we're so like, what's Thrawn going to do? But at some point he has to become a household name and B in charge.
Does he? But does he? Because like no one really knew who he was.
Leia did.
So Luke, Leia, and Han did.
Yeah, they did. But like, could we just leave him alone?
Well, he's like the problem with
trying
Thrawn,
to make Snoke happen. Gretchen.
The problem is he is the leader of that whole thing, and we're talking about how nobody in the Shadow Council could bring those people together. Even Thrawn can't bring the Shadow Council together, so Snoke can. Like, how is that possible? So all that will have to be played out over the course of the next, 4 or 5 years. But seeing Thrawn and what he's doing, we always talk about whether he's not the actual bad guy that he is in books, canon books, where he's just doing it for his people and the Grisk and all that stuff who are attacking his people, and he's trying to warn the Empire of that. will that play a role into live action? Will that play a role in the Mandoverse, or will he just be the next villain of the week type thing?
To put you at ease, maybe on the Snoke idea, Derek, or to maybe pull you on board, is that this would be the opportunity to actually make Snoke into something interesting. That, like, because I don't think out of
Snoke
all,
was interesting. That's the
yeah,
problem.
that's true.
That's
That's
the
true.
problem.
So
Make him interesting again.
I feel that, like, it's my opinion that no one in the Shadow Council makes it to the sequels. Ergo, why do you have the son of Hux, who's a total idiot, who Snoke himself says, like, having a rabid cur in such a high position of power is really advantageous for me. So I don't think Thrawn ends up in the Shadow Council. I think Thrawn ends up as like a big dog, and I think Snoke clears him out, or Thrawn clears him out. I think somebody clears him out, because you end up with this, like, kind of deranged, militarized First Order by the time you get to The Force Awakens. That, I don't know, maybe who's the guy that's in the Rise of Skywalker? The Pride. Guys like him are left over, but he's not in the Shadow Council. The guy who's in the Juggernaut in The Last Jedi, he's left over, but he's not in the Shadow Council.
Yeah.
His backstory is that he was a loyal Empire guy. I think they get cleared out in some way, and I feel like Din Djarin might do it, like you said, Mike, or someone comes in, and presumably that'd be Snoke, to, like, clean it up and be like, all right, we gotta make this a functioning enterprise.
Yeah. Well, think of it this way, like sort of like a Darth Maul. Darth Maul right now, we know where he dies. We know how his story ends on Tatooine versus Obi-Wan, and it's really cool. Snoke's death, if you like you like that throne room scene, it's pretty cool. But either way, both these characters' ends, and yet you're getting a whole Maul series, and we're really excited for that. Getting to see Snoke in sort of his prime will be very, very cool, and get to see him gain that power, and getting to see him maybe, again, electrocute some people, and maybe.
I mean, to me, the other hesitation I have is that I look at, like, merchandising of what sold and what didn't, and you couldn't give away Snoke merchandise. And I know it's part of the story and thing, but, like, I have a couple Snoke Funko Pops, and it was because I got them for like $3 at Target on the clearance rack. I just don't foresee them pushing him so hard.
Yeah.
Just to bring him back, and, like, I don't know. And I've been wrong at least twice before.
At least.
That could be like 4,000 times. But I just I don't foresee Snoke being a part of anything.
I don't see him being a huge part of it, but I think if we get deep enough into the pre-sequel world, he's going to have to come in, like, because they know the main players know him or know of him, and now that might not be until they full on announce the First Order, which is not close to now.
Well, I think Snoke is going to play a big role. It's just more going to not be about Snoke himself and about how Palpatine is the one who has created Snoke, manipulating Snoke. As he says, "I am every voice you've heard," to Kylo Ren. Like, I think the more important thing is, like, Thrawn figuring out that Palpatine's still alive on Exegol. Like, if he figures that out, or just Palpatine's pull on this entire story as the First Order gets created. That, I think, is more important and cool to me than just Snoke himself, because Snoke is a cool looking character, and I love Andy Serkis, so any chance for that. But it's Palpatine's pull on all of that. Like, him pulling the strings is what I want to see. Like, scenes of Palpatine on Exegol pulling the strings, him going or showing up to Ochi of Bastoon and giving him the dagger, not actually showing up, but and all that stuff that happens, that he's pulling the strings behind to make sure that the events go the way that he wants them to go. So I'm not as concerned about Snoke specifically, but more about how Palpatine is manipulating that situation and creating Snoke.
If nothing else, Snoke is like a visual indicator that Necromancer wins out in the Shadow Council. At least one of them. Obviously Hux wins out too, because Starkiller Base happens.
Well, the thing too is right now there's no leader for the Shadow Council, and
Right.
Thrawn is going to come in supposedly as that leader. He's going to fail. We know that. He's going to fail. So Palpatine could be on Exegol like, well, in order for me to take back over this galaxy, in order for me to ever have a chance to come back, to be fully healed, would be if I take over the galaxy again. So he has to bring together those Shadow Council members, because from on Exegol, he can't do that. But if he puts somebody in charge, if he puts Snoke up there in charge, then they can come together and be one united force and take over the whole galaxy like the First Order does. And then Palpatine can go with his plan.
Also, the worst, I'm going to just gripe for a second, quick second. The worst thing they ever did with Snoke, in my opinion, by far, is making the Vat version of him look exactly the same as he does on screen.
Yeah.
Because the best theories out there on Snoke back in the day were that he was so afraid of Luke because Luke messed him up. You're welcome, Max Rebo. I was about to cuss. No dollars in the swear jar. But the best theory out there was that he's so afraid and wants to find where he is and blow up that planet and make sure he's, space dust because he knows from experience that Luke messed him up. Now we know that like Snoke's come out of the vat looking like that, which is kind of a weird continuity thing for me, honestly. But it would be cool if you were bringing him in. Like, why do they know about him? Because they've dealt with him. And so now you have to explain at some point, if they want to, why they know about him other than him influencing Leia's son. I don't think that bumps up. I'm only bringing that up just because at some point the Thrawn heir to the Empire regime has to run into the beginning of the First Order. And I don't know how that happens without Thrawn figuring something out about eventually who's taking over, what the actual plan is, or if that's even the plan right now.
Yeah.
Like you said, maybe Palpatine's kind of like waiting to see who steps up because he's conscious. He may not be alive, but he ain't dead.
Yeah, he's definitely pulling the strings for sure. I'm actually looking at the Snoke thing from Rise of Skywalker because I couldn't remember if he looked exactly the same. He does. He has the exact same scar in both the back to tank things. But it also begs the question, like, still, who is Snoke? Because he didn't just create a body. Like, somebody had to have been the body before. Now, probably won't be.
I wish Jacob was here because I think they imply that they use Luke's severed hand.
Yeah, they do in the comics for sure. That severed hand is on Exegol.
Yeah.
Which is pretty crazy. So if they use any sort of... And my biggest question is Omega, because Omega in the Bad Batch is supposed to be the person who could transfer the midichlorians and create a Force-sensitive clone. Like, that's the whole gist of the entire 3 seasons of the show. So I feel like she should have a role in this, but she's not in live action yet. And yeah, I'd love it to be Luke's severed hand plus like maybe Grogu's blood, like a combination of a bunch of things.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love it to be Luke's hand because it would make him going into hiding make more sense if he finds out that his blood created Snoke. Like, if when he and Snoke go toe to toe or have a confrontation, if Snoke's like, "Hey, guess what? You helped create me, buddy," and he's like, "What?" Like, that would give more a reason for him to go into hiding because his blood can create the leader of the First Order, the supreme leader of the galaxy. Like, that would be terrifying.
I feel like the whole necromancer thing, especially from the Bad Batch, from Mandalorian, really implies that it's what you just said, like a lot of different pieces, and they happen to like accidentally figure it out. Because it seems like, especially when we get to the end of the Mandalorian season 3, that they're kind of out of ideas, and they scramble the only brain who knows how to do it.
Yeah. Exactly. Actually, Max Rebo brings up a great point too. Luke's hand making Luke Skywalker in Legends.
Yeah.
So that's something that happens. And just like Palpatine came back in Legends too, like it's things that fans will complain about and continue to complain about that have already been done before. And Luke's hand being used to create Snoke is awesome, but for some, I'm sure they'll be like, that's stupid. But it could also explain how Maz Kanata got the lightsaber too, because that lightsaber fell with the hand.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mhm.
a hand came with that lightsaber. So it could not only be explaining how Snoke was created with Luke's hand, but also explain how the lightsaber ends up in Maz Kanata's hands, who, by the way, Maz is a very cool character. The relationship with Han and the fact that she's 1,000 years old and the flags outside of her castle are the pod racing flags like this. Yeah.
Well, and we've talked about Maz too, and like Maz has to come back somewhere.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Has to. Like
Yeah.
her temple's gone. So like what's she gonna do? But like doesn't mean that she's gone.
Right.
Yeah, but I think even before the Force Awakens,
You can go
Maz
back
in the
to
Mandoverse.
Takodana beforehand. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
and that's I think we had talked about that a long time ago, where
Yeah.
I think I mentioned where I was like, they can absolutely go there.
Mhm. 100%.
And
Espe
looking
yeah.
and again on the map, like if you look at the map and like how things fall is really like they put that map out for a reason.
Oh, big
Mhm.
time. Yeah.
They
And
absolutely
changed
did.
it
Yeah. And so
already.
like
Yeah.
and so I'm like, how can Takodana make a big difference? And like you got to look at the games. You have to look at Battlefront 2
Yeah.
and seeing how important that planet was for the rebellion.
Mhm.
Takodana.
Yeah. My thing too is like, imagine seeing a character like Din Djarin and Grogu stroll into the bar at Takodana. Like that would be sick. Like
Mhm.
having that connection crossover where Grogu meets Maz Kanata. Like that's an interaction you want to see happen.
And it does seem to be gearing up to your point earlier, which was excellent, Mike. You know, the people actually making a difference in Thrawn are like giving the good guys a strategic advantage, so to speak, because Thrawn doesn't know them, would be the people that we want to see cameos from, like, the Hondo crowd. Not
Yeah.
that Thrawn couldn't pull up records on Hondo, but like those are the types of people that we're reintroduced to through Skeleton Crew. We're
Yeah.
reintroduced to the strongest Mandalorian sect ever in, Mandalorian season 3 in modern history, right? Not the old ones.
Yeah.
And then all of these, what I assume Rangers of the New Republic was going to tee up would be like future resistance pilots for the New Republic,
Yeah.
all these people who would be the people um, that actually take the threat seriously. But they also happen to be people that Thrawn would not have access to information to the way that he does, everybody else, or immediately can pull up Ahsoka and Balin's info. He can't do
Yeah.
that for. Well, he might be able to do that for a couple of the Mandalorians, but not all of them. And he's definitely not counting on a mythosaur. I can tell you that.
No. No, he's not.
But we
I'm actually
are.
I'm
Yeah.
looking on a map right now to see what Takodana is. It's actually in the mid rim, but I'm trying to see what it's close to. It's actually close to Castellon, which is the planet from Resistance. It's kind of close to Endor.
I think
in a
that was
way.
I think maybe that's where I was thinking because with Endor and then with the sequel movies.
Hoth is kind of close, actually. Bespin is kind of close, actually. I'm actually shocked at how close Bespin and Hoth are. They're right on top of each other.
Yeah, but if you don't go by hyperdrive, it's forever.
True, but they're closer than Dathomir and Adnar.
There you go.
There you go.
Weird.
We need to get like a little ruler or something.
Well, yeah. You know
Like-
what's actually kind of funny though too is that snowy planet from the Mando trailer that's with him taking down the AT-AT walkers. That snowy planet people thought was going to be Hoth because you have the snow troopers, and we know from the Smuggler's Run ride that's going to be at it's going to be at the Galaxy Parks, Galaxy's Edge. That's going to be Mandoverse, and one of the concept art images is the Razor Crest right next to the Millennium Falcon at Bespin. Bespin and Hoth right next to each other on the map. Hoth could be in the trailer, and Bespin could be at the ride at the.
Such a great time to be a Star Wars fan.
Everything is a
great.
theory.
Also,
Everything
to add to the mystery of the map, we should probably also assume that it goes, into the screen and out towards you too. So it's not like the
Yeah,
planets are perfectly parked.
true.
This is like an
Right.
orby.
Well,
orby
and there's
situation.
different lanes too.
Yeah.
Like not
Yeah.
everything's a straight line.
You might
Not
not be
everything's
able to
straight.
get to the one next door without going around the lane,
Right.
But
And sometimes you need a Skywalker to navigate.
ha ha ha.
Ha
Ha ha
Oh, I'm
ha.
not talking
Sometimes.
about Luke. I'm
No.
talking
We got
about
some more people in the chat since we started. We got Mr. Larry Mitchell. Welcome back to
Larry.
the show,
Oh
Larry.
yeah.
Legendary Larry.
Legendary Larry. Good to see you. Zima's here. Max Rebo, we love you're always here. Who else? Someone else left a comment that I didn't say hi to. Mando United is here or was
Nice.
here.
Well, thank you all for coming and hanging out.
And Pam. Hey, Pam.
Pam.
Did Ron finally go to sleep? He needs to. Is
Yeah.
he
Time is
visiting
over there.
any like Star Wars taping spots? Like that's what I want to know.
I know. He
Come
should
on,
be.
Ron.
All the Naboo stuff. He should be on the set of Starfighter right now.
Yeah, can he get any like inside information for us and feed it?
I don't know. Maybe.
Watch
He's so
Ron's
funny.
Ron's over
It's-
there filming for Starfighter, and we think it's on vacation.
He's a background character. That'd be awesome.
Oh, Pam Hill. Hello. Yeah, we've got a good group of people here.
It's so funny when you look at this map too, because you're like doing the routes that they did in the movies. Because I'm seeing like Jakku and what route they took to get to Takodana. It's pretty wild when you look at some of this stuff. Some of the planets being closer than others, but it's just so many actually Andor planets are around Takodana. The Rings of Krafim, which is where the Rogue One opens with Cassian's Steer Guard. It's pretty wild. But all that to say, I'd love to see Maz Kanata in some Mandoverse project very soon.
Oh, definitely.
I think we're all behind that.
Yeah. Sorry, now I'm looking at the map and I'm like, okay. Well, okay. So we were talking about that. So Batu is up there too. It's in that same areas like Endor and Bakura. So
You know what would be easier is if I just put it up on the screen.
There
Well,
you go.
I'm actually going to send you one more image, Nick, which is the other craziness that happened this week with the Mando and Grogu movie.
Okay.
So, as Nick pulls this up, this is a official post from Star Wars's Japanese page. So the official Star Wars Japan page. They posted this. It's, by the way, pretty crazy. We are less than 200 days away from the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. So about 198 or something like that. This is from a couple days ago. So 200 days until the Mandalorian and Grogu. And this poster, although it is in Japanese, has been translated. It says the Mandalorian and Grogu, blah, 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 blah. But the tagline is what's the most interesting here, because the tagline actually says, when translated, a new story of love and loss. And this is what made me go on a crazy tangent about Din Djarin dying in his great theatrical debut. And as much as I love that theory, it would be crazy if they killed off Din Djarin. But what do you guys think that love and loss is all about?
It's uploading, everybody. Here we go.
So this is this is the poster. 200 days to go. Yeah, 200 days to go, and then it's in Japanese, but translated at the bottom, it's 5/22. It's the release date, and then it says a new story of love and loss. So love, you gotta. I mean, you could assume maybe like Bo-Katan and Din Djarin, maybe if Bo-Katan's gonna be thrown in there, or just love between father and son type deal.
Cara Dune's coming back.
Yeah,
that'd be nice. That would be nice. But the loss thing is weird to me. You have Grief Karga, who Carl Weathers sadly passed away. So maybe a loss of him.
R.I.P.
Also, maybe Colonel Ward, played by Sigourney Weaver, because she's only in a couple scenes. She was only on set for a couple days, supposedly, but they're marketing her like she's a main character. So maybe she's one of the losses. But what do we think?
Derek?
This is a tough one because, like, I think it's going to be Din. I think it's gonna be Din Djarin.
I think it's gonna be Din too, Derek, and nobody else is on my side on that.
I'm on your guys' side on that.
Really?
And
Okay,
maybe
I'm not crazy.
I
maybe
just
we're all
think
crazy.
like I think like Pedro has had like some issues with them and stuff, and like his money's getting high.
Yep.
And they've gotten out of him what they need to get out of him. And I
Yep.
love him. I think he's wonderful. I think he made the character, but they're looking for things. He probably wants to be done. He wants to do other things. He's really kind of loving that comedy role that he wants to do. So I think it's an easy out for him. And like not easy story wise. I think it just makes so much sense where it's like, oh my gosh, how could they kill him off?
Yes.
Well,
yes,
he doesn't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here was my pitch for it, and my whole chat was mad at me for killing off their favorite character. I get it. Nobody wants their favorite characters to die in Star Wars, but the reality is this is Star Wars, and everybody dies at some point. Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, Cassian Andor, Anakin Skywalker, Obi-Wan Kenobi, all your favorite characters, they die, okay? So to use Din Djarin's death as a catalyst, because here's how I put it. You've already gotten 3 seasons of the character. You've gotten plenty, like, he probably has more screen time than 98% of characters in Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
So you've already gotten a ton of Din Djarin. He's not going to live forever. Grogu pretty much is, 900 years. So at some point, his death is going to be very meaningful. Or he's not.
Yeah.
At some point, his death is going to be meaningful to Grogu. Maybe put him down a dark path, which would be crazy, but I digress. The other thing is the first 3 seasons of The Mandalorian all set up his relationships. His relationship to Boba Fett, his relationship to Fennec Shand, his relationship to Cobb Vanth, Bo-Katan in The Mandalorians, Luke Skywalker in Ahsoka Tano, to all these different people from all these different lands. Luke and Bo-Katan have zero relation except for the connection of Din Djarin. So the only thing that would allow these people to come together to unite, because you saw Bo-Katan and Boba Fett almost fighting in The Mandalorian Season 2, is Din Djarin. It's the only person who his death would be like Phil Coulson's in the first Avengers movie that brings the Avengers together to fight for something, not just themselves. So in order to defeat Grand Admiral Thrawn, in order for them to take Thrawn serious as a real threat, a colleague of theirs, a friend of all these different people, would have to die. And if Din Djarin is killing Shadow Council members, the only way that Thrawn is going to be able to unite the rest of the Shadow Council would be to kill Din Djarin, unknowingly uniting Boba Fett, Bo-Katan, and Luke Skywalker somehow, and killing off Din Djarin and putting asses in seats, because who the hell wouldn't hear the fact that the main character of the first Star Wars movie in 7 years dies on screen, and you're not going to go, oh, I got to see that movie. I got to see that movie.
Yeah, you're not going to want to wait till it comes on Disney Plus. And we've already said, I think we all unanimously agree, it's going to be in theaters for a minute. They're not going to rush this to Disney Plus anytime soon until they need a boost in Disney Plus.
Yes.
I also think we could use a little bit of loss in Star Wars. We went a whole trilogy. We lost original characters, but everyone we got introduced to made it. You know, so far in these shows, I mean, Ahsoka, everybody made it. I think we're being teed up for a little bit of loss coming up, and that might be in both of the upcoming projects. But
actually, now that you mentioned that too, even Bad Batch, we thought they were all going to die. Nobody died.
Nobody died.
Tech died in Season 2, though.
Yeah.
So nobody died.
Teak.
I know.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. We haven't gotten a big loss in Star Wars recently. I actually kind of bite my tongue there, because if we have, and I'm forgetting, that would be devastating. I don't think so. But yeah, I mean, a character like Din Djarin, as Derek pointed out, the Pedro Pascal side of things, which is, I didn't even bring that up, but story-wise, it would mean so much to so many different characters. It could unite them all to take down Thrawn and Grogu. Imagine what that would do to Grogu. Like, you could get a dark side Yoda species, or at least a little glimpse of it.
Right. Well, and also, what's that going to do to the Mandalorians? Like, we already know that Bo is like, she wants to be in charge again. She wants that. So with him dying, that just opens the door for her to be like, all right, Mandalore is mine. I don't have to worry about this guy. We were
Yeah.
cool, but also like it's a little bit edgy. So it's like Mandalore's back. Let the New Republic fight whatever's going on while I build up my forces.
Could be.
Then
Yeah.
you have a whole nother
be.
arc.
Could be.
So it could go one of two ways.
It could go one of a million ways.
Well, yeah, true. Din Djarin sort of figures this out in the movie and then has to go get his friends together himself. Or he dies in the movie and his friends have to come together because of his death in sort of an Avengers level way. It's just a matter of, do they
Could be
have
both?
Yeah, true, I guess. It's just a matter of, do they have the gonads to do it, to pull the trigger and kill Din Djarin?
What if Din and Grogu died at the same time? What
no
would
way
happen?
All right.
What
As
would
much-
happen?
There is no way they kill Grogu. He makes too much money for them. Din
Yeah.
Djarin, of course, makes money too, but nowhere close
mean-
to Grogu.
I mean, what would happen though?
That would be
One
ridiculous.
day they're gonna run out of runway for Grogu in some way or another.
It's already
Yeah.
getting to that point
Yeah.
where younger kids. I mean, it's not. They're making a ton
Yeah.
still, but like
Yeah.
those people are starting to get older and
Yeah.
older.
Yeah. Well, I think Grogu's got to grow up too. I think we need a post-sequel Grogu that's gone through like a growth spurt. He's like 100 years old now, and he's like training Jedi. Either that or something changes with the character. That's what we need for sure. But going back to the point of Din Djarin dying, I sort of posed the question to the people who were against it. If there was a Mando trilogy, would you be okay with Din Djarin dying at the end of the trilogy? And they all pretty much said, yeah, why not? So what's the difference between him dying in the first movie to be the catalyst than him dying at the end of the trilogy to be just a sad end? I think a more likely scenario for an end of trilogy death would be Boba Fett, a character who's been around for 40 plus years that would be more meaningful, or even like a Harrison Dula, or just somebody, I guess, of more significance that's been around longer. That would be a more meaningful death at the end of the trilogy. But Din Djarin, I think, could be the catalyst, and it would be a big twist. And Dave Filoni is a guy who's killed off many a characters in our time with Star Wars, Kanan Jarrus, Fives, 99. I mean, he's killed off so many characters that we cry our eyes out to. Tech, of course.
Yeah. Well, and to your point about needing a change out of Grogu, where we stand right now, although he's come a very, very long way from season 1 Grogu to what he is at the end of season 3, Grogu might be the unifier, because they find out we lose Din Djarin as a catalyst for the story, and all these people
Chewie's in.
He's in.
all these people care about Grogu and go and help him, or like feel responsible for him.
Yeah, well, a change for Grogu would be him going dark side.
Or Din dies, so Grogu goes with the Mandalorians to help rebuild Mandalore.
That would be pretty crazy. Mandalorian Jedi. That'd be pretty awesome.
Exactly. And I could totally see that happening, because like, where is he in the other movie? And that's what everybody's like, well, where's Grogu? You've got this incredible force yielder. Or, well, he's on Mandalore. He's rebuilding Mandalore. He's not, he's so upset with Din dying that he goes with the Mandalorians to rebuild it and to help them fight back.
That would be great too, because there's no Mandalorians in the sequels either. So where's Grogu? Well, he's with the people who also aren't on the screen.
Right.
The other Mandalorians.
And that's my big thought with that, is that it's an easy explanation. None of them are there. They're together.
Yeah. And what's great about this too is Dave Filoni being in charge of all this, because he's done it before with Ahsoka and the Ghost Crew not being in the originals and not being in the prequels. Like, he's already had to toe that line of why aren't these characters there? So he could easily do it with Grogu and all these other Mandalorians too. Oh, another character who I was saying sacrifice at the end of the trilogy would be Bo-Katan. Bo-Katan's been around since the Clone Wars. Like, she would have a pretty good send-off if she died.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Katie Sackhoff is like really in it, and they don't use her a ton. So it's like the fatigue of her being in Star Wars is not high.
Yeah, true. But maybe by the end of a trilogy it would be.
Well, that could be. And
Yeah.
plus, it's not up to her. Let's be real. Like,
Yeah.
it's not.
That's true.
You know, I'm looking at our ticker is like, it says live rumors Ahsoka season 2 and the hunt for Ben Solo. We haven't even talked
haven't
about
even
that yet.
gotten there
We're an hour and a half in, and we haven't even talked about Ben Solo. And I'm not mad about it at all. Like, I'm almost
No.
like, maybe we leave that to another episode again.
We might have
Well,
to.
well, here's what might be your, nemesis to your Din Djarin dying in Mandalorian Grogu, Mike,
Yeah.
is you said, do they have the gonads to do it? They
Yeah.
didn't have the gonads for this. So, we might as well.
Yeah, well, that wasn't Lucasfilm that didn't have the gonads to do that, because Lucasfilm was on board. Yeah.
But does Disney have the gonads to say, oh, you mean our most popular asset for the last 7 years? You want to kill him?
True, but the pitch would be, yeah, but Pedro Pascal is still going to be Mr. Fantastic with your Marvels that you also own.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and it's not like they're not going to have him at the park still.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Is if he dies off, his merchandise is still going to be valuable.
Yeah.
I mean, because you're like, well, no, like, well, Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's everywhere.
Like, so
Yeah.
sometimes it's not the worst thing that could happen.
Yeah, I mean, Din Djarin's a character who has been around for already 7 years or 6 years, and characters far more important have died far quicker, like Kanan Jarrus. Like, there's plenty of people who don't last as long as Din Djarin has. I think it would just be a great twist that nobody would see coming,
except us.
Except
I agree with you. I think he needs to go, but at some point he needs to go.
Well, I think it's good for the story, and what's good for the goose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the reason I bring up, them not having the gonads to do it is that I do think Lucasfilm has the gonads to do it. I think Lucasfilm routinely has the gonads to do things that are shocking. It's what we get out of this story that, Derek, we haven't heard your thoughts on Hunt for Ben Solo, but that might be a good transition point of, what do we think?
I mean, you shouldn't have been gone in the first place. But,
I actually, while you conjure up your thoughts, I started today writing a script for a new What If. And of course, that What If is what if Ben Solo is alive. And I have not worked as hard as I worked today in my life. I started writing that script, and it was like, that meme where guy's writing with a quill and it's on fire because he's writing like that was me today. I was like, oh my god, this is genius. This is like I'm writing a whole dialogue between Luke and Ben in the World Between Worlds, and I'm like, this would be so cool. This has to happen. So I think like the opportunity there to do it is so obvious.
I've long since said, and I've said this on many a podcast, that you could make so many people happy by the World Between Worlds and just rearranging some things in the sequels. And like, here's the thing. People are like, well, you can't do that because, then you're just like, it's so weak. And I'm like, but to a lot of older Star Wars fans, those stories are weak. So if you put some kind of thing in, like, I still like the movies. I don't love all of them. I do love the first one. But the other two are like, man, But my thing is, if you introduce that and you change the story around, one, they were so worried about the parks. That was the original thing. It's like Galaxy's Edge at both parks have to stay consistent with the movies. Well, that's going away.
Yeah.
Really quickly. So if they do that and somehow Ben is back some way, or Kylo Ren, whatever, he's back. Now you've opened up the parks to everything. And Disney, here's the thing, is Disney is about to get a new CEO. It's going to be happening within the next year or so. And it's probably going to be Josh D'Amaro. And Josh D'Amaro is the head of Disney Parks. And there's nothing that Josh D'Amaro wants more than to make the parks part of the movie and IP stories. That's his whole thing.
And you're seeing that too with the Mandalorian and Grogu. The Mandalorian and Grogu has a specific park event happening on the release date of the movie.
And Mando and Grogu are in Galaxy's Edge now that have nothing to do with Batu. It's perfect, and no one gives a shit. That's the great thing about it. Is like they were so worried about this. Oh, it doesn't make sense. No one cares.
No one cares.
If Darth Vader's walking right next to Kylo Ren in Galaxy's Edge, I'm gonna lose my mind.
Yeah,
Not because it doesn't make sense, because it's awesome.
Yeah,
exactly. I want it. We all want it. Just give us what we want.
Yeah. I think, well, obviously Ben Solo's body disappearing is a big reason why they were like, how can he still be alive? But the World Between Worlds has been something that's been set up and explained very well in live action in Ahsoka Season 1 since then, since this project has sort of unfolded. So, I mean, there's so many ways with the dyad and the Force and the World Between Worlds that you can bring back Ben Solo that it just seems inevitable at this point. And it's the Star Wars fans and the power that they have to persuade this. And I got some a little bit of backlash on this about how Disney, specifically Bob Iger and Bergman, would never admit their mistakes. They have too big of an ego to want to switch it around. That sounds ridiculous to me. This is a publicly traded company that is trying to please the fans. If the fans, millions of fans are begging for this movie to happen, this movie that all of Lucasfilm agreed to, that Adam Driver's on board with, that an Oscar-winning director is attached to, that you already have a full script ready for, if they're all on board, then what are we even talking about here? Like, that sounds ridiculous to me that they would never okay it just because they have too big of an ego to say that they were wrong. Like, you're the CEO of a company that needs to make money. What are you even talking about?
Right. And so much of that blame was put on Kathleen Kennedy originally, and now it's like that's backed off so much, and it's like,
that is funny.
Yeah, like just do it. I say
do it.
just make it happen.
Yeah,
because I think no one will be mad, or if they are, no one hates Star Wars more than Star Wars fans. But on the same token, like I think like every Star Wars fan I've ever talked to that's a real Star Wars fan would love to see it. You love to see it.
Yeah.
I think we've done so much in the last couple of weeks to make this basically a reality. You know, like that it's on the table.
Max Rebo, literally dozens of people. Exactly.
Derek, we were talking even, you just brought up a great part about the parks that I wasn't even considering last week with, being able to bring this back. I'm sorry, I have some barking dogs.
Oh, you're good.
That's all right.
Chewie's got his best friend over tonight. So,
exciting.
So, but we were talking last week about, if the people at Lucasfilm, i.e. Dave, Kathleen Kennedy, and whoever, were kind of planning on this movie happening, how did that inform any of their other decisions of what to make moving forward when they kind of assumed that we spent millions of dollars on this script? It's already basically ready to shoot. We have dates. And what did that inform? And we came to maybe the theory, I don't know if you call it a theory, that's why they got such a haphazard, like, well, there's a Rey movie, because it's around the same time that they found out, well, oh my God, we can't do this. And how much of the things, the IP they were trying to like tee up for everybody moving forward got sort of rearranged or changed from not being able to do the movie, and how much of the ideas from that script are now being kind of like pieced into things coming out now, or how does that work? Does it just not get touched?
Well, there's so much of that does it not get touched, and things getting watered down, because again, back to the parks, like there were supposed to be characters and aliens and all kinds of different species walking around and interacting. That was the whole thing with the parks, is it was going to be this crazy interactive thing, and that went away. And then they opened up the resort. That didn't work because it was too expensive. But there's still space that is already built in both parks to have a whole nother restaurant and a whole nother attraction. The attraction's not built, but the restaurant is behind walls. It is there. Like, is it completely done? Probably not. But because they were waiting to see what was going to happen in these other movies to open up more attractions in Galaxy's Edge, it's already there.
Yeah.
So like if they put out these other movies, they can open this stuff.
Yeah. And to Nick's point too, like there's it looks like there was already an idea to connect a lot of things to not only the sequels, but to Ben Solo specifically, with the Acolyte having the Kylo Ren theme in there, and us finding out recently that that was the intention for Kymir to be the first ever Knight of Ren, but also the World Between Worlds being an explanation set in Ahsoka, well, I guess in Rebels, but in Ahsoka in live action, to at least provide an explanation for how he could come back to life using that and probably the dyad in the Force too. Like there looked like there was a lot of post-sequel stuff with the Rey movie and the Starfighter movie that could all, in theory, connect to Ben Solo in the hunt for Ben Solo. So at some point, there was probably a whiteboard that said, hunt for Ben Solo, and all these branches off of it to the Acolyte and to all these different projects. And then they had to erase the hunt for Ben Solo. And then all the plans probably changed.
Well,
but still
oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, still you have the Legacy of Vader comics coming out that are still connected to Kylo Ren. So there's still that playing out.
Right. And again, I'll go back to the merchandising. If you look at the merchandising from those 3 movies, I would venture to say Kylo Ren merchandise outsold Rey.
Oh, big time. Yeah.
So when you have your cash cow, like you can have, there's a lot of people, that's kind of weird. I don't understand the hate for Kylo Ren. I love Kylo Ren. It's one of my favorite characters. I mean, I guess I can understand some. No, I don't really understand. I love Kylo Ren. But there was so much merch sold and still selling merch for Kylo Ren. If you go to the parks, they're selling tons. There's still people buying it. There's still Halloween costumes of Kylo Ren. And it's like, if you bring it back, you have more opportunities to sell more things.
I agree. And I mean, Kylo Ren is a big seller because, first of all, he has a really cool lightsaber and helmet. But yeah, I agree. He's a fan favorite character, and bringing him back would only make you more money.
Right. And then you can have a new Legacy blade. You can have the Ben Solo lightsaber.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How much, how many of those would they sell? How many, tens of thousands?
Yeah.
They sold a lot of the Ben Solos at first. I think they sold so many that they discontinued, like, because they didn't sell as many Kylo Ren ones.
Right.
And whatever he would have in this next movie or whatever it would do would sell even better.
So exactly what I'm saying. It's like you had the original that sold really well. His blade, like they made so many Kylo Ren blades, and they had them like in 4 different price tiers. So like you had different qualities. So that's why I've seen so many on closeout, but also they sold millions of dollars worth of just his lightsabers. And if they have a new one, there you go.
Yeah.
Just more stuff.
I'd like to point out too that Papa Boz, first time on this channel, we had somebody get caught by their boss trying to watch this show. So
first time ever.
Hey, welcome.
Love that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it seems like a no-brainer right now with the fan reaction and all this stuff happening that this movie should still get made, and I think it still will get made. But only time will tell.
That puts us at a pretty decent ending point. What do you think, fellas?
I think so.
I think you're right about that. I think I speak for Ron that this was really fun, and that the Jedi chat is alive and well. And
we went all over the place today.
We went a little less on Ben Solo than I thought, but I loved our Ahsoka stuff.
Oh yeah.
And I just want to say thanks to everybody in the chat. I'm sure you could have been doing anything with your night, and you chose to spend it with us. What do you guys think?
It was a good choice to spend it with us.
It really was.
Sure.
We lost our minds today. Oh, actually, Derek, look at this.
Oh, what do you
I knew I had this, but I found it. Refound it.
Oh, I have that one. Yeah, I have that one. It's a good one.
Nice.
It is a good one.
Yeah. I need to get a hold of them. They need to sponsor us.
They have our card. We saw them when we did our May the 4th. So
that was such a good episode. I had so much fun.
That was awesome.
I was so sad though. It broke my heart not being there with you and being in Nashville. Stay tuned for that. Maybe I'll move back.
2026. Yep.
There you go.
All right, everybody. Anything else you guys want to add? Mike, you got live stream tomorrow?
Tomorrow, yep.
Sweet.
So be there or be square. Yeah.
Yep. As always, smash that thing. Smash the like, helps us out a lot. Appreciate you guys joining us. We're going to be back next week with Ron.
Hey, the return.
I think so, right? Well,
Yeah, he
We'll
said.
see.
Yeah.
now he has to. So,
Now he-
all right. May the force be with you guys. Thank you, and we'll see you next week.
Have a good one.